Welcome to another episode of my podcast, Greg's World Podcast, Missing Pieces, whatever we're calling this. I kind of like keeping it as Missing Pieces, to be honest. I know I've gone back and forth on this. Every time I do one of these episodes, it goes into a playlist titled Missing Pieces, and I like that being like the name of my journal that I do, which is what this is. This is my weekly audio journal that I do. Because it's kind of like, it kind of plays in the Lego thing, as it was intended to do when it was a Lego podcast, supposedly. And then it also kind of is like the missing pieces of the things that you maybe don't see in videos, or just like a little bit of extra. It should probably be extra pieces. I'm having a whole crisis right now of what this should be, and like this channel and everything. But I've got big plans, and we'll talk about some big plans this week. But today, you're witnessing a very rare Saturday morning episode. Barely Saturday morning. Usually I record these Friday at some point, usually like Friday afternoonish. House is nice and quiet. Clark Man's at school. I try to get it done before the weekend comes. And then like, I don't want to invest an hour or however long these episodes are into me being like down in my studio here recording this one. We could be spending time together. So I always try to get these done. Well, yesterday, which was Friday, the day I typically record this, Clark was off from school. It was a teacher in service day, which was awesome because he was very excited because the new season of Fortnite came out yesterday. So we spent some time in the morning playing that. And then after that, we went out for lunch at Olive Garden. That was a big request from him. He loves the chicken yonki soup there. For whatever reason, that's like his thing. So he wanted to go out for lunch there, and we had to go get our eyes checked at the optometrist. Clark was a little bummed out that he didn't need glasses. He was planning to get green glasses if he needed them, but no glasses for him. My eyes, slightly worse. Cody's eyes, slightly better. I'm big bitter about all of this. I did try some really great glasses on there that you'll actually see in a vlog. I recorded a No Zero Days episode of all of this stuff yesterday. So you'll get to go with us to Olive Garden if that's like something you've been dreaming of doing. You get to even spend a little time picking out glasses at the optometrist. And we also did a little shopping, and Clark did some sledding yesterday because it snowed. What is this? It snowed more in March, and it's like still very early, than it snowed like this entire year. In fact, earlier this week, Clark had a 2-hour delay, and I had to like shovel everything out. I thought we were done with this, but that darn Punxsutawney Phil, he keeps getting it right. It was 6 more weeks of winter, and I'm hoping this is done. But if you look outside right now, like it's a white wonderland out there in Pennsylvania. So that's kind of what yesterday was, and a little bit earlier this week. But let me tell you what else happened this week, because that's what we do here. I finished editing the Maui vlogs on Greg's World, and I'm sure some people are like kind of bummed because you like come along with us on that series. I'm actually kind of happy because I'm kind of done. Like, I want to move on to like the next thing. I don't like to stick with any one thing too long. I like to keep it fresh. And for some people, you're excited for like RC season to come back, which I am as well. There were a couple comments like, hey, can you go back to making RC videos? And I'm like, heck yeah, I want to. I'm just waiting for the weather to get a little better. It's not so fun being outside making RC videos in the snow, although sometimes like that can make some fun videos. But I've come up with like some really cool ideas that I want to share with you here. I told you guys, I'm always, my gears are always turning and stuff. Sometimes grinding, sometimes smoking, sometimes exploding. But I'm always like trying to figure out, what can I do to make myself better, make my life better? Oh, speaking of that, okay, we'll finish this thought and then I'll go back to the top of my outline here. I got to give you a weight loss update. But let me tell you about this is like being inside my mind. I don't have ADD or ADHD, and I sympathize with people that do, but I'm a pinball in a pinball machine, is sometimes what I feel like. I should stick to the script here, but sometimes conversation naturally flows. Let me tell you about my RC ideas that I had. In fact, I came up with this first idea while I was eating lasagna yesterday at Olive Garden. I was thinking about like the whole like making RC videos, and I was like, I guess in general, just excited to like be able to spend time with Clark Man doing that. And Cody even offered to like film the videos for us, because we were talking about how it's kind of challenging driving the truck and getting the shots and like kind of sharing that whole experience. Cody's like, I'll be your filmer, just ask. And I'm like, I don't typically ask anything of anyone. I don't like to rely on other people. That's like a thing for me. I like to be as independent as I possibly can, because I find that sometimes when you rely on other people, people let you down. But that's not the case with her. She's very reliable. And I was like, oh, how cool would that be to have a filmer out there? I'll get 2 RCs. Clark and I can be driving. She's getting the shots. I'll come home, edit it. Chef's kiss of perfection. But my idea, it was to get some type of open vehicle, like a Jeep or like some type of dune buggy or something that has open cockpit, like open seating. And then we get some action figures, or make some type of action figure that becomes like a character on our RC videos that he's the driver. And we do all kinds of videos like of him ragdolling out of that thing, like crashing into walls, going off jumps at the skate park, going through a creek. It could be all kinds of stuff, and it could be awesome, I think. I think that'd be really fun for the people that watch our channel. And it combines kind of like the action figures with RC, which I think is really fun. And it's just something that I genuinely want to do. And I found in my experience that if there's something that I'm interested in or want to do or I think would be fun, if I turn it into something, people seem to agree with that. So maybe you're in that demographic, maybe you're not, because people find us for all reasons. But I think that'd be really fun to have like this guy. And Cody had the idea of giving him a name. In fact, she was thinking, like, she's into this now too. This zany idea. She wants to get one of those wooden dolls that they use for like art, like if you're sketching, like you compose them in all these different ways, and then you draw the human form in the way that the little figurine is. She had the idea of getting one of those wooden ones. Clarkman paints it however he wants to paint it. He can make it the character. I was thinking like a crash test dummy. Do you guys remember the crash test dummies from like I want to say like early 90s, maybe late 80s? We make it look like a crash test dummy or whatever Clark comes up with, and he becomes our guy, our mascot that just goes through all kinds of nightmarish hell in the attempt to pilot all of our RCs as we destroy them, whatever. In fact, that's kind of like the secondary idea I had. I really love doing RC videos, obviously. It's like one of my favorite things. And we have some expensive ones that I'm a little delicate with, some that we've definitely trashed, and some cheap ones that we've really went through the ringer, and that's a lot of fun to do. And I found out that AliExpress, where I've bought like boot Lego sets before or like Lepin stuff, they have some RCs on there that are really cheap. So I was like, dude, we shouldn't get those. Like they're dirt cheap, even with shipping from China. Get a couple of those and we crash them, do like bumper cars and stuff. I think it would be a lot of fun. So that was like idea number one in the world of RC. And some of you guys are probably like chomping at the bit right now. You're like, oh, I got to see that. Some of you are like, I'm more into this. Like, can we just talk about things? And I think that's cool that we have a variety here. But my other idea kind of brings in the Lego audience, where I get one of these junk RCs from AliExpress. I'm calling them junk. The quality might be okay-ish, but I'm not betting on that. And I was thinking of taking the body off of it, so you're left with just the base that's like the actual RC that drives around. And then I could super glue some plates on there, some Lego plates, and then build a Lego RC car on top of that and drive that around and see how it survives. Almost like the crash test dummy idea. I think that would be a banger. I think that would probably be one of our biggest videos, especially if I cross promote it with the Brickitect audience. Could be amazing. Speaking of cross promoting, I'm going to hold that thought on cross promoting. Let's talk about my weight loss for this week. I'm not glossing over it. I've got good news. I didn't just skip it because it was bad news. Down 1 pound this week. But even better than that, something really awesome happened. I bought, and this actually makes it feel real, because you look at numbers on a scale and it's happening kind of slowly, so you don't notice much of a difference. But this week, I went to wear a pair of jeans that I bought back in the fall. We were going to New York City, and I wanted like a nice pair of jeans. Most of my jeans are like kind of oldish, and I wanted something that I could kind of wear around, look a little snazzy or whatever. And I bought this pair of jeans, and I actually had to go up it was like 3 inches bigger than what I typically used to wear. And my old jeans were feeling pretty tight too. That was also a motivation too. But I bought these jeans and they fit me perfectly when I went on this trip back in October. I was about 187 pounds then, and they fit me great. Now I'm down to 170.8 is what I was this most recent weigh-in. And those pants are literally falling off of me. And I couldn't be happier. Like, I know I bought these and they were kind of expensive just months ago, but it's a great feeling when like they won't even stay on. Like, I think a belt might keep them up, but like I don't have to unbutton them or anything. So that's like, hey, I'm making progress here. I'm down. Let me see. Where's my phone at? I'll see. I guess I'm going to go off of what I still need to go. I'm about 11 pounds from my goal. 11 pounds. And at 1 pound a week, that's not amazing. I'm not blazing through this. But 11 pounds is 11 weeks. That's summertime. I'm at my ultimate goal, which my goal is 159.9. I just want to be under 160. That's about what I should be. I'm 5'10", so I'm not like super tall. And like, I'm not super muscular. So I want to be pretty lean. And over the years, I weighed that probably back when I was in high school. I was probably about that weight. And then at some points during my adult life, I was usually in like the 160s. And then like 170 happened. And then like from 2020 on, I just kept going up and up and up. Which I think maybe is similar story to many of us after like COVID hit and people were at home. My life really didn't change. It just, I don't know. I just didn't put a priority on being fit or getting any exercise. And I just kept focusing on my work and making videos and like having fun. And that includes eating too. Like everything was just pleasure. And I forgot that you do have to put the work in. If you want something, you have to work. So I was just like hovering at this weight. And now I'm down lower than at any point that I've been in the last 3 years. And that's a great feeling. And those pants basically falling off of me are like a reward almost, or like a reminder that this is working. What I'm doing is working. So we're going to the gym 3 times a week. I do like as much upper body stuff as I can do there. And then I do the treadmill every single day there. At home, every day that we don't go to the gym, I do 30 minutes on the elliptical. That's basically all I do. I don't take any calories in through drinks. I watch what I eat. Usually like 1 meal a day is typically what I do, but I'll sometimes have a little bit of a lunch too. So that's about it. It's not a lot. And I don't even feel like really that inconvenienced. I really enjoy going to the gym. I love lifting the weights. I listen to podcasts there, and everything like about that experience I like, except for the music that they play. I'm thinking about getting a pair of like wireless noise canceling headphones. Like I wear my earbuds now, but I can still hear their music. And I just want to be in like my own little peaceful state there while I listen to my podcast. I'm not getting hyped there. I'm not like listening to like electronic, like techno music or whatever. I'm listening to my podcast, keeping it chill, doing my weights. And that's what I want. So I think that'd be nice for that, and also for like plane rides and stuff in the future. So I'm going to do some research on that, and I might make an investment. If I do buy those, I will report back to you which I buy, because I can guarantee you it will be the best buy that you can get. It may be a little expensive because I want good ones, but I also want to do the research to find the best value. And I don't make decisions like this without doing a ton of research, with the exception of that microphone that I bought last week. That was just going off of brand loyalty, and that was a mistake. So that's my weight loss update. I hope if you're on a journey similar to mine, maybe you're doing this in parallel with me, I hope that yours is going well too. We get some updates here, which I'll list off in listener feedback. But let me transfer back to where we were, since I missed that at the very beginning. I was talking about cross-promoting things, and I'm finding that everything is kind of lining up, which it isn't strange, because when you are interested in something and all you do on YouTube is share the things you're interested in, there's going to be a lot of overlap there. And I talked about enjoying doing RC stuff. That's no mystery. That's a big thing for us. So you got like RC cars and driving cars. Well, there's something else that I got into this week too that's car related, and that is Lego. Believe it or not, cars are a big part of Lego, and also a part of my bucket list was this junk build that I've been trying to do of this Lego Ferrari F40. It's a big Ferrari. Think of like a big red sports car, if you're not into the world of cars or vehicles or any of that stuff. And this thing I've been wanting to build forever. And I decided this year, like particularly like since we got back from Maui, I'm going to start doing all of the things I want to do in Lego, check everything off my list. And I've been doing a lot of that. And particularly, this was one that was like my grail. I wanted to see if I could piece this together with my collection. And if I didn't have the parts, I was going to use like alternate colors. Well, it turns out, like in doing this, it took me a long time. I'm going through all of my pieces, trying to find the parts from this inventory. It turns out that I had just over 1,000 of the 1,100 and some odd pieces that I needed for this, which was amazing. And they were all the right color. So I got on Bricklink and I ordered the ones that I need, and I plan to make a video like actually building this. And the cool thing is this set is like at minimum like $200 on eBay used. Like $200 to $300 in that range is what I was looking at. I think I'm going to have this thing built for like $50. And that includes some very expensive like wheel covers for it. But I'm just very excited to like show people, like, you never know what you have in your collection, and you might be able to pull some things off without spending a lot of money. And I find it to be very rewarding building this stuff for my collection and going through that inventory. It's like a scavenger hunt. It's a challenge, and it's a lot of fun. So that's one thing that's lining up for me. And I've been loving the car scene since I was like kind of following that. And I had to wait for those parts in Bricklink, which they just came today or yesterday. They were in our mailbox this morning. I got them today. I also built a Ford Mustang in Lego that is like an alternate Mustang to one that I built before. I ended up getting a really good deal on a boxed Lego Creator Ford Mustang. If you've ever seen it, it's like a dark blue Mustang, old school. It looks like the 1960s Mustangs that everyone loves. Well, there's like these alternate instructions you can buy or sometimes get for free online on a website called Rebrickable. And some very talented designer ended up making this one that looks like a modern Ford Shelby GT 500, which is like a really sick looking new Mustang. Just kind of using the same pieces from that set and then converting it. And since about a year ago on Whatnot, I found like this set on a deal for $85, I decided, hey, I'm not going to tear apart my old one. I'm going to use these parts to make the other one, and then I can make a video comparing them and showing the new one off. And I did just that. So it was a really fun thing. Like I'm getting this out of my system, building these really like large scale Lego cars. I love that so much. And I got the Mustang done. I'm going to be doing the Ferrari this week, and I've got some other stuff in the backlog and some other plans, because as I'm doing research, I'm coming across things that I didn't even know existed, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I talked about this, I think, a lot last week, where I was talking about kind of sacrificing success for what I'm passionate about, what I'm interested in. And the car scene is definitely that. And I do see like some crossover that could happen between the RC people and the Lego people. I think they're one and the same, but also another group that's very passionate that I'm excited to cater to as well is the video game audience. And I've been getting into heavily playing Gran Turismo 7 with my racing steering wheel. It's a setup that I put here at the table. I've got a racing wheel. I've got a shifter that simulates like an actual shifter in a car. And I've got racing pedals that has a accelerator, brake, and a clutch. And I had like kind of a video blow up on my gaming channel about this thing. Like I kind of did like a very authentic unboxing, setup, and review of it, just like I do with everything. It wasn't like professional by any means. It's just like, this is a regular dude setting this up, and this is what my impressions are. And that video did really well, and a couple follow-ups did too. So when I'm playing these racing games with that, like I kind of brought that audience into the channel. When I'm playing these Gran Turismo games and stuff and doing racing stuff, those people are very interested in that, which is great because I love racing with that wheel. Like I can't go back to using a controller with racing. So I've been doing videos like that, and I'm like, well, this works out really well too, because that audience, which is like the racing gaming audience, might like seeing a Lego Mustang get built, who also might like seeing RC cars. Maybe you get a Ford Mustang there. You can see how it all kind of ties in together. And it's like, I don't know if I ever anticipated being like the RC guy or like the car guy or like the gaming racing guy, simulation racing dude. But like, I would love to fill that role if that's a position that's available. And if there's an audience that enjoys it, and there very much is, I feel like I could basically take all these different channels that I have and kind of like make them all in the same like ecosystem or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously there's other things that I like to do in gaming, like playing Fortnite, for example, that may not cater to those guys. There's other things I like doing in Lego. Like I like making Lego action figures too. You can see how the action figure thing comes around. I like it because of the articulation and the customization. But then on Greg's World, you got the No Zero days, you got stuff like that. You got the podcasting, like sit down and talk stuff over here for a very select audience. Thank you for tolerating me and my pinball mind of ideas. I just like all of this kind of clicked with me this week, and I'm like, this is my direction. This is going to be really cool. I can still share my travel stuff and all the fun things that we do, but like the RC stuff and the cars and the racing, all of that kind of goes together, and I'm like hyped. I'm like so excited to be doing all this. So that's kind of the path there. But I got like really deep last night. I want to share this story with you on a game called Assetto Corsa. It's like Gran Turismo, like a simulation racing game, but it's for PC. I bought it a long time ago for like $5. I bought that and American Truck Simulator, which is like a trucking game. And again, of all the games that I play, American Truck Simulator is probably the most boring game. It's literally me driving a truck across California and Oregon, because those are the states that I have, picking up a load, dropping it off, backing it in, and then doing that again. And I'm kind of running a trucking company. My most popular thing that I do. It's wild. So the car driving simulation audience is definitely there. Farming simulator, people love that too. I somehow found like the people that like boring stuff just like I do in some ways. But this game is a simulation racer. It's for PC. You got it for like $5. And I was like, last night I was trying to get it all set up with my wheel and whatnot. And with PlayStation, plugging the Logitech wheel into that, super easy, like no work at all. It just plugs in, it works. Everything works on Gran Turismo. Beautiful. This was a little more work, and this is the kind of the reason that I don't like PC gaming, because you really have to put some time and effort into getting things dialed in, but you can dial things in way more than you can with PlayStation, it seems. So I got the wheel working and the pedals, but I couldn't get the clutch or the shifter working, and then I figured that out. And then I was like trying to get it to work on my TV screen, because I don't have two monitors. I have a monitor and I have a TV here that's like a 40-inch TV that Clark and I play on. I need something big for that. So what I ended up doing was like switching the monitors, figuring out how to do that and make that my primary one. I had my other stuff over here on my computer monitor. And then I was like, let me see if I can like get this to run. And I got the settings all dialed in. Then I'm like, let me see if I can stream this. And I tried doing that and it was an absolute disaster. My computer could not handle running Chrome, running this webcam or face cam, running the game, having the steering wheel. It was all way too much. So that was a failure. But then I was like, okay, so I can still play this. I don't have to stream it. And I tried recording it too. I couldn't get it to work like with recording either. So I was like, what if I figured out how to get this to work with VR? Because I have an Oculus Quest, which you can kind of see behind me here. And I've done it before where I've been able to play Flight Simulator with that headset on, and you're looking around and you're like actually in the plane. And I was like, oh, I know you can do this through like Steam. Steam VR is what it's called. And I learned how to do that and how to get it set up. And it was an incredible experience. If playing Gran Turismo using the steering wheel and shifter on the TV was awesome, playing this game where you're literally sitting inside of a Ferrari and you see your arms out there with your racing gloves on and your red jacket, and you can look around the car, and every time you're shifting, you can see the shifter in his hand moving on it. And I'm like looking out the window. You can look in your side view mirrors. You can see what's actually behind you using the side view mirrors. And you're literally inside the car as you're racing with this headset on. Oh my gosh. It was an incredible experience. I called Clark Man down. I'm like, you got to try this. I got it all set up for him, got it all lowered and whatnot. And he was like crashing into walls, but he thought it was pretty cool too. But it was just like a crazy experience. And like, I see a lot of potential in VR. They actually made a PSVR 2, which you can play Gran Turismo on. But I'm like, that's like $500. This was like a free setup. I already had the Oculus. The game cost me $5. I had the steering wheel and pedals and stuff. And I was just like blown away by how amazing it was. I am a little sad being a guy that likes to share things. I wish I could have like shared that. But the VR stuff never works in like when someone else is watching it, because they're seeing what you are. And if you're like looking around, they have to look too. And it gets a little too much. So I had a ton of fun with that last night. I put a couple hours into that. And I guess like the biggest part of it that I really liked was that I figured it out. There was like setbacks along the way. And this is kind of what I like about just life in general, is there's a lot of times where you have like this goal, and I'm a fairly goal-driven person. And I do everything that I can to get to that goal. And sometimes like there's things you have to overcome, and I love overcoming that. It's like why I like repairing things when I'm able to do it. I'm not much of a mechanical dude, but if I can fix something, there's no greater feeling than knowing that I was able to fix that. And I didn't give up. I didn't go out and buy something new. I was like, I can make this work. I love that. And I made that work, and I had so much fun with it. And I think I'm going to continue playing that. There's like a career mode and stuff, and it's going to be great. But I say all that to say, like, overall, this isn't about necessarily finding a way to play VR racing games, or this isn't about RC cars, and it's not about Lego cars. It's about like a trifecta, finding like that trifecta of like your circle, the Venn diagram. If you don't know what a Venn diagram, think of multiple circles that exist in space. And then like there's this one thing, like if you start overlapping those circles, there's this area in the center that is common in all of those. And that for me is like this path that I'm on with like the car things. So I'm hyped, man. I hope that there's an audience for it, which I think I've already found them. But yeah, I think it's going to be like maybe the next chapter, the chapter that we go on. I mean, we've had plenty of chapters throughout the years. There was like the Thomas chapter. That was a fun one. There was like monster truck chapter. RC chapter just kept going, and it's the most fun that I have. And I'm hyped for this year. Well, other than I love amusement parks. You guys, I've told you my ultimate goal, what are we going to do tonight, Pinky? Try to take over the world? Yes, we're going to do it, but through pizza, pretzels, pickles, and parks. That's probably my favorite thing. I want to do I want to do reviews of all those things and go to theme parks. But we can do that on the side. We got time. We've got the ambition. We've got the time. We've got everything that we need to make all of these things happen. And it's just a matter of doing it and enjoying it along the way. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Spent an incredible amount of time on Lego this week. I only filmed one No Zero day. I've got to start editing those out. I did do a little bit of watch-a-teching while I was piecing together. Well, actually, I was building the Ford Mustang. I started watching a show that was recommended to me by my buddy Ronnie called Full Swing on Netflix. It's like a golf documentary. And before you say, okay, I'm fast forwarding from this, is that even a phrase? Skip ahead, I guess is what people say. We don't fast forward these days. We don't rewind or fast forward, we skip. While it is centered around golf, what I love about this documentary is that it's not about golf. It's about the people who are playing golf. It's about the professionals that are striving for excellence. And each episode follows one or two of these guys, sometimes in similar situations, sometimes in very different situations. And you get like their story, what they're trying to do, their history. It's amazing. It's like the reason that you watch this probably. You're here for like the story, right? You're here to like kind of come along on this journey. And that's what the show feels like. It feels like you're getting to know these people, and I really enjoy that. And I love the episode that I really enjoyed was the differences between this one guy who had it all. Like he was excelling in the world of golf, like the best. And then he kind of fell off, and he's trying to work right now to try to get that back. And he's finding it very difficult. And then they put that with another story of this guy that came out of nowhere and is dominating right now. And you get to see the two differences between these guys, that one had it all and is just striving to get it back, and then the other guy who's getting it all right now, and they're at different points in their career. And it's just fascinating to me. I love human stories. I love like the study of human behavior, and that's exactly what the show Full Swing on Netflix is. So I think I'm 5 episodes into that. I think there's a total of 8, so it's not a huge investment, although they are maybe an hour a piece. So I'm enjoying that. I'm going to finish that series out, and there's some other ones on there too. They also do an F1 series that's similar to this too. So if you find that you like this kind of stuff, even if you don't necessarily like the sport, like I can't imagine that there's a ton of golf fans watching this, although there might be, especially when I add my new series onto Greg's Arcade, which is Golfing with Greg. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So we'll see if there's any golf sim people out there too. Again, my pinball of my mind is all over the place, and I have ideas and things I want to do everywhere. I just need the time to pull them all off. That's what I was watching. I also started a movie too. I've been watching this before I go to bed, and I've been getting really, really tired and falling asleep. So I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but the movie is called Creed. There's now 3 of them. That's kind of what got me onto this. It's the story of Apollo Creed, from Rocky. If you've ever seen Rocky, you know who Apollo Creed is. It's his illegitimate son who his wife took in after his death and raised up, and now he wants to become a boxer. And they're from Los Angeles, they're pretty wealthy, but he goes to Philadelphia to meet up with Rocky, or Sylvester Stallone, and try to get him to train him to become a boxer. And of course, Rocky is against it. He's put that part of his life behind him, but he eventually gets into it, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know how this ends, but I've heard really good things about Creed. There's also Creed 2. These are available on Amazon Prime and I think HBO Max now. So if you have either of those 2 things, you can watch these movies for free. And Creed 3 is now out in theaters. So I'm kind of getting caught up with these, and I find them cool, and fun. I find them cool. I find them interesting to watch so far. And I've heard the reviews are great for all. So I don't think I'm going to be let down by any means. And I was just thinking now about how interesting it is that I'm watching sports stuff now. And I'm kind of getting back into sports, actually. I've been doing this thing where I'm importing my footage onto my computer here. And I mentioned I have a TV right beside me. I have YouTube TV, and I put the Sports Center on, and I watch the NBA highlights from the last night. So I've been getting back into watching the NBA. I also mentioned that I may get into watching baseball this year, depending on how the pitch clock situation goes and if it makes it better. So sports might be a thing, even though I spent a lot of time in my 20s really interested in, I liked NFL, college football, NBA basketball. Ultimately, I decided that it was a big waste of my time because my life wasn't changing in one way or another if my team won or lost. It was just a huge time investment. But again, if you're working on something else, I look at it as a great time to multitask. If you're building a Lego Ferrari, for example, why not put on a documentary about these golfers and stuff and listen in while you're building? It's a fun thing to do. So that's kind of what I'm doing instead of live streaming. You may think that's kind of selfish. It's like, well, Greg, why don't you live stream it? People really get a lot of enjoyment out of just hearing you talk about whatever's on your heart, as evidenced by this. But I think it's good to have some time for yourself. I put a lot out there. I put a lot of content out, probably more than most. And I just think that would be good for me. So even though that does seem kind of selfish, sometimes you gotta do what's good for you, right? And I encourage everyone to do that. Maybe not all the time, because it can lead to a destructive path. But sometimes you just have to think like, what can I do to enjoy this experience? An experience that should be enjoyable. That's it. Speaking of, I mentioned Creed. I was watching it before I go to sleep. I've been doing this new thing this week, and I'm anxious to report the results to you. I don't have the results on hand, but I've been wearing my Apple Watch to sleep. I don't have it on now. I put on the charger. This is the downside of the Apple Watch. I bought an Apple Watch a while back. Never found much use for it. I kind of liked having it on. I like knowing the time all the time. But I didn't use it for much outside of that. But then I started researching the sleep tracking it can do. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Let me wear it to bed. How cool is that? You can see like the time that you fell asleep. You can see the time you woke up. You can see the time that you were awake while you're sleeping. When you were in like core sleep, REM sleep, it's all this data is listed there. And I've noticed after doing this for about a week, day by day by day by day, you start to see like these patterns of like how you're sleeping and how long you're sleeping. I learned that I only need about 7 hours of sleep per week or per week. I'd be a zombie per night. Some people probably get away with less, but like the 8 hours that they recommend, it hasn't really been that. One night I was at like 5 hours. I was working on like YouTube stuff right before bed and I had my mind racing. So I think that kind of impacted me negatively. Oftentimes what I do before I go to sleep now is I'll just listen to a podcast. I'll have like one earbud in and I'll be laying like on my side. And I'll just listen to a podcast as I drift off. And then like the hard part is the next day, I got to find out like where I fell asleep at. That's the hard thing. But that's what I do. And I just listen to something that like instantly knocks me out. So that's been fun. Just kind of tracking that. Again, I'll report my results. I'm curious to see how it stacks up. Maybe after 2 weeks, we'll see like the numbers. But yeah, the Apple Watch, the only downside is like the battery life, while good, isn't amazing. And you have to charge it at some point. And I've read that a lot of people, they'll charge it while they're sitting at work at their desk or whatever. And maybe I should do that, but I'll take it off like when I get a shower and then I forget to put it back on, which is what happened now. But I'm getting really used to it. I got a new band this week to try out. And it's like usually $100 band through Apple, but Amazon had like, I want to say like replicas or knockoffs or whatever for like, it was like $13. And I really like it. In fact, it matches this shirt that I'm wearing. I should have had it on. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been up to. New things coming. I mentioned like a lot of ideas and things I had. Some of you have been asking about Ask Greg. I'm working on that. I'm trying to figure out how I want to deliver that, when it should come out, and how I want to do it. So I'm thinking this week I'm going to do a pilot episode of Ask Greg It, is what I've decided to call it, where I go down through like the most common or most controversial or whatever. Maybe not most controversial would be a bad idea. The most common asked Reddit questions of the week, and then I answer them like in rapid succession in real time and creates conversation. And maybe we'll throw in like some extra questions from you possibly, but I'm going to focus on that and do like a pilot episode just to see how I like it and how it is received with you. I know 3 questions when it was its own series wasn't nearly as popular as this is, Missing Pieces, or this podcast, because most of you are more interested in hearing about my journey than you are about what's a language that I always wanted to learn. That's fine. It's a good conversation starter, but I'm happy to be done with that. I completed it. I spent months answering 3 questions at a time, and now like I'm ready for the next thing. And I think you can see the trend here. Like I'm always trying to like push towards new stuff all the time. And can be good or bad on YouTube. Oftentimes, like when you have an audience, they come to you for a very specific thing. And this is where I get myself into trouble. You may come to us for our pizza reviews, for example. And I'm like, I don't want to just do pizza reviews. I want to do pretzel reviews too. So then I'm making pretzel reviews, and pizza people are like, "What? I I don't like pretzels. I came here for pizza. Or more commonly on our situation, we made Thomas videos and people love Thomas. And then we're on to doing videos of us in London. And people were like, what is this? Travel vlogs? I came here for Thomas. And, throwing everything together on one channel can be very dangerous, which is why I sometimes recommend having mobile channels, especially if you're going to go really hard on something like Lego, for example. If I put all those Lego videos on Greg's World, that would have been a little nuts, but also maybe would have been better for me. All those people would have just come to one place. It's a tricky thing. I'm still trying to navigate it, but that's about all we can do. That's my week, though. Let's get into your guys' stuff. Starting with Pixie, who says, I enjoy your weighing in each week of your journey into weight loss to stay motivated and focused on your goal. This in turn motivates me to focus on my path to being a healthier human being. I love tuning into your podcast every week on the drive to work because you have very insightful and have perspective information to share. I love No 0 Days series also. Keep them coming, please. How about that? That was the first comment that I saw today when I was doing the listener feedback. And I was like, oh my gosh. How motivating is that? Obviously I loved a podcast. I love doing this. Imagine having somebody say to you such an encouraging thing like that right before you're about ready to do the thing that you really enjoy doing. Where do you find that in this world? Like, say you go to your job, how often do you get complimented in that way? It's super fulfilling. So Pixie, thank you so much. We're talking about motivation. That motivates me right there. And I like being authentic. I like sharing what's really happening. If my weight goes up, I'm going to share that. If it goes down, which is what I'm banking on because I'm sharing it. I don't want to come here next week and say, guys, I gained 3 pounds. I want to say, hey, I lost 20 pounds or whatever. I want to make that progress. And if you hold yourself accountable to other people, if other people are relying on you, whereas you're not necessarily relying on me, but you're waiting to hear how I do, I know I have to do good that week. I can't sit down with a bag of chips because I know on Friday or Saturday in this case, when I record this episode, you're going to be here. This is how Weight Watchers works because you're being held accountable. So if you have somebody in your life, if you're trying to do something, it's definitely easier to do with a partner. But if you're doing it yourself, find somebody to be accountable to. This is how I got into going to the gym. I would have never gone to the gym by myself with Planet Fitness, but Cody was already going to the school gym, and now this year she was like, let's go together, and we did. And having that accountability partner really helps, especially on days when you're like, oh, it'd be so easy and nice just to stay home today, right? Well, we got to go. We're going. And all it takes is one of us to have that feeling, and then we do it, and we're both happier because of it. I'm glad that you're enjoying the series that we're doing, particularly No 0 Days, because that to me is it's just me sharing my life and what could, I guess, be considered to be the most boring content and who cares content about what this guy and his kid and his wife's doing. But also it's kind of, for me, it's very rewarding to share that and to document it because it's a slice of life. And I'm glad that there's people out there that enjoy watching it because it's honestly what I really love doing. Next comment comes from Donut Dragon. Don't get me thinking about donuts. We passed by Dunkin' Donuts yesterday. I'm just like, oh, I wish. He says, or he or she says, for me, tracking the day-to-day progress kills any motivation. I talked about weighing in every single day, and I do religiously. It says the change in things is imperceptible or so small that I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. So it just makes me not want to do the thing. Alternatively, looking back a year ago or multiple years ago, I see how big of a change something has been and feels much better. I trust the process and hope that results show through. In the future, I'll look back and see how far I've come. I can appreciate that, and I definitely understand. When you're not seeing much change, for me, I told you the story this week about how, I don't feel all that different after losing 15 or 16 pounds in the last couple months. But when I put those pants on, and this is kind of like what you're talking about, I put those jeans on and they don't fit anymore in a good way. That's the result you're looking for. But for me, this is where I guess I differ with you. I need that accountability. I need to weigh in every day because I've done this in the past where I was weighing in. If I knew I didn't eat well or I didn't do something right, I would purposely not get on the scale because I didn't want the bad news. So I need to be on that scale every day. I need to see that news because if the news is bad, we need a course correction immediately. I can't wait a week or a year and be like, oh yeah, I didn't quite get to where I wanted to. I wish I would have tracked it along the way. I'm tracking every day. Plus I love graphs. I love data, as you can tell by my Apple Watch discussion there with the sleep stuff. And I love that. I love it. So, and it's working for me, but I understand if you don't want to do that every day and you feel discouraged because you're not seeing enough of a change or movement. Do it once a week. I think going beyond that's a little much. Like if you weigh in, today and then you wait 2 weeks and you're like, oh crap, I gained 3 pounds. Well, where did that happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? You're lost. Maybe you have an inkling, but like if you have a big lasagna dinner at Olive Garden, for example, and the next day you're up 3 pounds, you're like, well, it's probably the sodium from the Olive Garden I ate yesterday. I need to be more careful about doing that in the future. That's where I'm at on it. But I respect your opinion on that for sure. We're all different. We all need different things in our lives. I'd say, honestly, if something's working for you, do it, right? Just do it. Speaking of working for you, Lucas says, thanks for the encouragement. I weighed in this morning at 172. So 1 pound down from last week. We're going right on. I weigh myself once a week at the same time each week. There you go. First thing Monday morning on an empty stomach. This way it gives myself time to see substantial results. This is same person. I guess this is probably a common feeling. For me, like I'm happy to get on and see 0.2 pounds down. I'm like, yeah, baby, let's go. I don't need to see a pound. Let me just see that creep. I want to see it get lower every day. Now it is discouraging because on the day-to-day you can go up or down a little bit. And it is discouraging to see it go up. But if you consistently see it tracking or trending down, that's wonderful. But I'm proud of you. Down 1 more pound. Doing it together. I appreciate you being open enough to share it too. That's pretty darn cool. You don't realize, and this is like something I don't realize until I see your guys' feedback on this. You don't realize that there are people that maybe are motivated by this. I feel like I'm just holding myself accountable. Like this is more for me than it is for you, to be honest, just like watching Full Swing while I'm building a Mustang. That's more for me than anyone else. Definitely in that regard. But like, I think maybe sometimes like putting yourself out there in the way that I do, you never know like who you're hitting, who you're impacting. It's very hard for me to know who my audience is. And in fact, we'll talk a little bit about that as I read through these comments here, or this listener feedback. It's very interesting to see the variety of people that watch and consume our content for whatever reason or however you found us, and for however this world has brought us together, and to know that there's somebody out there that maybe like looks forward to that, and it's like a reminder to them, like, oh, maybe you haven't even started yet. Maybe today you're like, oh, Greg and Lucas, they lost a pound this week. I think I'm going to lose a pound next week. I'm going to pull this off. Let me blow the dust off the scale. And I'm going to weigh myself today, and I'm going to weigh myself 1 week from now. And my goal is to be down 1 pound. And throughout the week, I'm going to think about the decisions I'm making when I'm eating or exercising or not exercising. Is this going to get me closer or further from my goal? And that's kind of like everything this is like my whole thing in a nutshell. And I say this all the time. And if you're probably tired of hearing it. What can you do today to get a little bit closer to where you want to be tomorrow? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be a tiny little bit. That tiny little bit is all it takes, because tiny little bits sometimes make big bits in good ways and bad ways. So think about that tiny little thing today, because it's so easy to make a good decision right now. Sometimes hard, but like just that one decision is all it takes. You'll get there. All right. Oh, Lucas has some kind words here too. Again, some motivation. He says, also, I disagree with you that you have no skill. You have the great skill of being able to recognize your thoughts and craft a story as it hits all over the pinball machine, as seen through your ability to make appealing YouTube videos. Yeah, I think the story in the videos is a little bit better than the story of me sitting down unscripted and trying to tell you all the things in my mind. Some of you probably have fun trying to chase around me as I'm dancing around all these things. But I appreciate the feedback and the comments and the encouragement. Next one comes from Kelly, who says, yay, I'm very happy you'll continue No Zero Days. I enjoy the content. Way to go on your weight loss journey. I'm always impressed by your commitment to the things you want to accomplish. That might be your superpower. There you go. I would say I'm a driven person, for sure. A little bit too much on occasion. I can get a little obsessed with things. Sometimes it's good to be obsessed. In fact, I read a book that you might want to look at. It's called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And I've probably taken that a little too far. But yeah, I appreciate that. That was from Kelly. And here we go. This is what I want to talk about. So I'd sit here and I talk about my interest in racing sim games. I talk about building Lego cars. I talk about RC videos. But here we have Kelly, who leaves a comment. Pixie, who may be a male or female, leave a comment. We don't know about Donut Dragon. But Kelly here left a comment. And then we also have Sarah, who says, unrelated to the podcast or anything, but I absolutely adore Cody's wedding rings. So original and beautiful. So it's, to me, and I don't know if this seems strange to you, but it's interesting that women are listening to this. I'm assuming women like my age, maybe younger, maybe older. I don't think that my demographic would be that at all, but it's interesting that we're finding those people. And I guess I found that because when Cody made a podcast on here, everyone watched that. Everyone was interested in hearing what she had to say. So maybe it's a hidden crowd that's out there. But it's just crazy to me. And I don't think I wouldn't think that audience is there, but there you go. They do exist. Maybe your kids found it. They found our RC videos and they're like, oh, these people aren't so bad. Of all the stuff my kid watches, this is on the bottom rung of the most annoying stuff. So it's cool. Hey, here, how about this? I don't know if you're willing, anybody out there, I don't know if you're willing to say why you're here or what brought you here or how you found our channel. But this would be a great conversation for next week. I would love to dive into this. How did you find Greg's World or Brickitect or my gaming channel or this channel for that matter? How did that happen? Where did you start at and what brought you here? I would love to talk about that. I don't know how many people are going to bite. I throw, this is like fishing. I throw the line out there and the bobber's sitting there in the water and there's a nice hunk of your favorite thing just right under the water and you're swimming around down there. You're all swimming. Who's going to come up and grab that? I don't know. It's and I'll use this analogy in the future too for some of my projects, but it's like throwing a big birthday party or a party for anybody. And you have all the snacks out, you've got the sodas, you got the music, DJ, the streamers, everything. And you try to throw this party and you're not sure if anybody's going to show up. So that would be a cool thing. We'll have a little party about that next time. Next comment comes from Vinith, who says, this is a response to the last three questions. It says, the language I want to learn is called Hindi, which is an Indian language. I already know a language called Malayalam, which is also an Indian language, and I know English. Also a skill I learned is solving a Rubik's Cube. That's pretty cool. I'd like to learn that. I watched videos on how to do it. It's a pretty simple process once you get it down, I guess. But I sit there and I'm like, I saw someone build a Lego one too, which was really cool. But yeah, that's very cool. I think anytime you can learn a language and get around a little bit better in other places would be very interesting instead of just pointing at things. My answer to the question was the one that would be useful would be Spanish. The one that I'd love to learn would be Japanese. Next comment comes from Builder Buds, who inspired the Full Swing show. He says, it's definitely okay to smooch your kids. This sounds really weird coming out of context. He says, emotions and physical touch are healthy things to share with your children as it gives them a solid example of physical touch. I'll never apologize for it myself, although I do understand feeling odd about it. Frig everyone else, I say, I like that. Sometimes I spend too much time worrying about everyone else, thinking about, what can I do for other people to make them happy? I guess that's my example. What are people going to think? We all have that problem. Don't tell me you don't think about that. What are people going to think if I do this or I say this or I show up on this? That's life, I guess. And probably the happiest people are the people that can just let those things go, but it's very hard to let it go. He also says, congrats on being done with 3 questions. I know we got a little long in the tooth for you, but I'm sure you'll be glad to have them videos down the road. I sure enjoy listening to them. Dude, I appreciate the recommendation. He's also he's a very inspirational dude, okay? I get inspired by him. We're kind of dudes. He's kind of like my brother from another mother. Dudes kind of on the same path in some ways and living kind of similar lives in different locations. And it's really cool to make connections with people like that you can kind of be a part of their life in the same way that they're a part of yours, just because they share themselves authentically. We're both doing very similar things. And yeah, I'm so glad that you started doing the 3 questions thing and I did it. The only reason that I wanted to be done with it, I do like answering them, even though some weeks I had trouble answering the questions. Some are just hard to answer, even the easy ones sometimes. I just kind of want to, I had this Reddit idea along the way, and I think that would be really fun because it can be more of a rapid fire thing. And I don't know, I just like to change it up all the time and keep it a little spicy. You know what I mean? A little spicy. So we'll see how that one goes. I'll do a pilot of that. I do want more stuff on this channel, but again, I got some things on my mind that I think are going to be really good. stay tuned for that. I don't want to let all the cats out of all the bags just yet. I've already shared some cool ideas that I have with you. So stay tuned for that one. Give me like a week or two. Once I get that stuff figured out, then we'll unveil the grand plan here. Donut Dragon commented again. He says, I don't trust people who won't say how much something is. It's secretive. It makes them come off as dishonest and untrustworthy. Dude, it's not the person's fault. I get what you're saying. It's not the person's fault. It's our society. We have like this taboo on talking money. And I think it comes from employers who don't want their employees to talk money, because you don't want to find out that the guy that's working beside you doing the same job is making $3 an hour more than you are. So like money is like a thing that they don't want anyone talking about, because then we'll all rise up and we'll fight for better conditions. At least that's my theory. But in general, like people don't like to discuss how much money they make, how much money things cost. It's all very secretive. I like to throw it all out there. Like, especially when I'm doing like Lego stuff, I'm like, hey, I spent $22 on this thing, and it's usually this. Usually it's like a deal. I love the deal side of things. But I love it when people are transparent and honest about those types of things. And I do think it helps you connect with that person better, and you do trust them. But I don't necessarily think that somebody that doesn't talk about that stuff is necessarily dishonest. I just think that they're a victim of the system. That's just the way things are. And I don't know if that'll change. But I do appreciate the second comment. You took that first nibble off of the bait that I threw out there, and then you came back for the whole thing, man. I appreciate it. Next one comes from Bradley. He says, how do you find motivation to do a podcast by yourself? I used to do one with my friends, but now I'm going solo. And I replied back to him, but I thought this would be good for anyone to hear. My ingredients for success: 1, find something you enjoy doing. That'll make it easy for you to do it. And then 2, be consistent at that. Show up. That's it. If one of those things don't happen, like if you're not enjoying it, stop doing it. If you can't be consistent, if you made a commitment that you can't keep up with, if you're not willing to be consistent and show up, then don't do it. That's as simple as that. If you do those 2 things with almost anything in this life, if you enjoy it and you're consistent at doing it, you will find success in it. I believe that. It may take a great deal of time. It may take some luck, but you make your own luck when you show up. So that's my advice to you, good sir. Next one comes from Aussie Guy. He says, thanks for the mention. Hey, thanks for the comment. You don't thank me. I thank you around here. He says, I think you would like financial advice in Australia, as we are partially that financial counselor that you speak of, which is good. That's the life that I want to live. Most people like to just make money, but I like to help the less fortunate. This week's question. We forgot about Would You Rather too. We got to bring that back. You skip it 1 week and then people forget. It says, so I have a 6-year-old in my house who loves to build the 9+ Lego sets. That's cool. That's good news. Impressive. She will only build with instructions, and then it's like next once finished, which makes it hard not to buy new Lego all the time. I would not like to see you sort, but I see Clark build custom builds and like to know how to set up my girl for success to do this. What parts are better to put in a pack for mod sets? I put a ton of mixed Lego in front of her and she doesn't know how to get started. How to inspire a 6-year-old? Good luck. Okay, well, you've already tried doing the thing that I was going to recommend. What I found that is if you just have parts available, at least this is with Clark, man. I have all my little drawers over here and he knows where everything is. Like he probably knows better than I do. In fact, I ask him sometimes like, hey, where's the diddly doodly do? And he's like, oh, in this drawer. I find that if you give kids parts and a surface to build on, they will build. Like that's what Clark likes to do the most. In fact, he's like, I'm having the opposite problem from you because he only wants to build his own things. Like if I get a Lego set, he's like, well, I like that, but I want to do my own thing. And that's like a trend in the world of Clark, man. He likes to like make his own world. Like that's why he loves Minecraft. That's why he gets into all these things. Like he likes to use his imagination. So like my initial advice would be just have some parts out, and like kids can't resist. If you have a table with Lego pieces sitting there, your kid, like if this is a person that's never been into Lego, I feel like your kid will come over. Now you're running into a unique situation where she likes building Lego, following the directions. And some people, that's what they like. Like they like to have a kit with a plan. You want her to be more creative in that aspect. So my advice would be for you to do it together. I know you said that you get her some parts together. What if you sit down and you made it a challenge? In fact, you guys could do my challenge that I want to do this summer, where I want to do like the Lego Great Race, the Pinewood Derby, where I'm hoping it could be kids or parents and kids, ideally. I set out some rules for you guys to build a car. It can be this long, this wide. You make it however you want. You have to name it, and you have to pick a driver or minifig to go with it. And then you send it to us and we race it, and the winners get all kinds of prizes. I'm going to go nuts with this. That'd be a cool thing to sit down and do together. You don't have to do my race, but it's like, hey, daughter, let's have a little competition here. Let's see who can build the coolest Lego race car. Me versus you. Make it a game. You gamify things. Kids like games too. Or if you're like, let's do this together. I have this idea for this thing. Like Clarkman, he's been inspired. I've been wanting to make the Toy Story characters. He's going nuts. He's built. We have Rex, who we worked together on. He built Slinky Dog last week. He built. What's the penguin's name? Oh, frick, can't remember. He built the penguin, and now he's working on the pig, but we don't have enough pink pieces. So that's what he's up to. So I would try to get involved with her and like make it a challenge, or like give her an idea. Say, hey, I found this really, you know what her interests are. I found this really cool mouse. It's like an Apple mouse. I wonder if we could try to make that out of Lego. It'd be kind of a cool thing to try. This would be a terrible example, but like maybe that would work. But hey, man, I wouldn't be too worried about it. She's 6 years old. She's built a 9+ Lego set. She's obviously very intelligent. Let her do her thing. She'll find her way. But I get what you're saying. Like, I guess it's a financial side of things too, where you're like, well, she builds something and then she doesn't do anything with it, and then she wants the next thing. Maybe you cut that out, and you're just like, hey, you gotta find something to do with your pieces, because that's how I was when I was a kid. My parents weren't buying me sets all the time. I have more Lego sets now, well, obviously, than I would have ever had as a kid. But I just had a box that I would dump out. I'd sit there for days just building Lego stuff with all the same pieces. I loved it, and I'm trying to get back to that as an adult. Everything in my life is a quest to get back to what I loved as a kid. The innocent days of no worries and being creative and just enjoying, like, I guess kind of like enjoying myself. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So that's my advice. Hope I know it was a little long, but that's what I would do. Hey, we got a little side quest here. Oh gosh, I shouldn't talk about this one because I'm starving right now. Renessa, another female commenter, says, I'm convinced to try Five Guys. What is your order there? Okay. First of all, I'm going to prepare you. I think I did already, but Five Guys is very expensive. It's not like going to McDonald's and you get I guess you can't even get like a $7 meal there. It's probably like $10. Five Guys, you're in pretty deep. Like for the three of us, Clarkman gets a junior bacon burger, which is like their, I guess, normal sized hamburger. I get like a regular hamburger. He gets that with ketchup on it. That's it. They'll do toppings. I get like a double burger, a regular burger. It's like 2 patties, just regular hamburger. And I do ketchup, pickles, onions. That's all I like on my burger. Cody gets a lettuce wrap, of course, trying to be Mrs. Healthy over here. She gets a lettuce wrap with like a cheeseburger inside of it. So you're not getting any bun with this. And then she gets like peppers, onions, jalapenos. Like she gets the works inside of hers. Ketchup, mustard, all of that nonsense, pickles. And they fold that all up. Okay. So those are our 3 things. And then we get 2 orders of fries. Always under order the fries, because they will literally fill your bag. Like they put this all in a bag and your bag will be filled. So if you have 2 people eating, get 1 fry. If you got 4 people eating, maybe you get 2 or 3 fries. They'll way overdo it with the fries. So we get 2 fries. And then they like having a milkshake. So they get like a strawberry milkshake, but I like having a ice cold Coca-Cola with mine. That's sometimes when I veer off my path is when I'm having really bad food like pizza or like fast food like that, I guess, even though it's not technically fast food. I like having a ice cold cola. I'll do Zevia these days. I quit on Coke. I'm just doing Zevia. It's calorie free, which is made with stevia. So all of that together. So we've got 1 small hamburger, 1 regular hamburger, a lettuce wrap, 2 fries, and a milkshake is about $50. So this is like a special occasion if you're going to do this Five Guys thing. This isn't like I'm going there every day for lunch routine unless you're making bank. For us, it's like, it's like special thing. And that's what we get there. So again, under order fries, hamburger, you can get anything you want on. The burgers are glorious. Amazing. I'm sorry I've got you guys salivating, but this is a very honest question that I felt like I owed an answer to. I'm going to eat my arm right now. But I can't do that until we discuss this final listener feedback, which was the motivational comment of the week from another female listener, Christina. How about that? She says, Oh my gosh. She says, "You're motivating me, Greg." And you finally got me to comment. Zzz, I'm reeling you in, Christina. Here we go. She says, "After a few weeks of putting it off, I finally come to give my feedback and thanks." Yes. Greg's World loyalist since January 2019. She's doing the thing. She's doing the thing. January 2019. She found us in January 2019. How did that happen? She says, "I've been enjoying my Tuesday/Thursday routine of watching your latest podcast and exercising." See, now I got to do 2 podcasts. I need another one there. She says, "I got the 2 older kids off to school, put the baby down for a nap, and get moving. I look forward to it every day, and your words of motivation and drive always keep me going. Thank you. I know you worry that you're not keeping us entertained, but I promise you the mundane day-to-day stuff is so relatable and a much-needed break from reality TV drama. Thank you and the fam for sharing your lives." Oh, God, I can't. Wow. I read that. I'm just like, oh my gosh. My heart is full. You filled up my heart. I'm like filling extra jars. This is like, it's like a Legend of Zelda reference, I think. Wow. It's impressive. Motivating you. This sounds like you don't need motivation. You got enough going on. You're going already. But happy to accompany you during your exercising. Hopefully it's working out for you in the same way it's working out for some of us. And whether you're checking your weight once an hour, once a day, or once a year, I think that's awesome. And I'm happy to hear from you. I'm so fortunate, or like so thankful that you somehow found us. I'm curious to see how that happened. Maybe it's one of the kids. It has to be the kids, right? Because every time we meet someone in real life that comes up to us, or it's like, "Oh, my son loves your videos," or it's always one of those things. And it has to be the kids. That's my strategy. We target the kids. We target the kids. We reel them in, and then maybe I can get their parents interested, because the kids, like, they watch the fun stuff, and then I'm like, "Hey, did you also know I have a podcast where I sit down for now over an hour? This is 2 weeks in a row. We're in an hour, and I just blabber on about things in a disorganized manner. Does that sound like something you like?" And the parents are like, "Yeah, I guess so. Look at that. I'll listen while I'm exercising every Tuesday and Thursday. Got the kids off to school, babies down for a nap. Holy smokes." Wow. I'm never going to complain about being too busy, because that's a lot. But Christina, thank you for commenting. All the other female listeners, making yourselves heard. Thank you for commenting as well. Gosh, I wish I had something better for you to look at here, but it's all I got, and that's my story for the week. I hope you all enjoyed coming along with me on this journey. Of course, we're going to be back next week. In fact, there's going to be a little mid thing here. I got to have it out by Thursday now. I'm setting a goal for Wednesday for Christina, so on Thursday, she can listen to Ask Greg It, the new series where I go down through Ask Reddit. Try not to answering anything too offensive or too polarizing, but going down through, and we'll rapid fire some things and start some conversations. Hope you guys have a glorious couple days of your week this week, and I'll see you very soon.